The courtroom is silent, but the tension could cut through steel. Kody sits rigid in his chair, eyes darting between the women who share his life, all of them wearing the masks of composure. But behind those masks are secrets that could shatter everything. One whispered accusation, one hidden text message, and this family could unravel in front of the world. You won't believe what happens next. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, nothing will be as it seems. The morning light filters through the high windows of the courthouse, dust motes drifting in the air like tiny, silent witnesses. The benches are wooden and unforgiving, the smell a mixture of polished wood and cold linoleum. Kody Brown walks in first, adjusting his tie with a precision that masks the anxiety in his chest. Each step echoes in the cavernous space. His wives, Christine, Janelle, Robin, and Mary, follow, their expressions carefully controlled, though their eyes betray the storm of emotions beneath. The bailiff calls the case. The judge enters, robes flowing like a river of authority. Kody's lawyer whispers something under his breath, but Kody barely hears it. He's focused on Christine, sitting stiffly with her hands folded, a hint of defiance in her posture. Robin glances at him, then looks down at her notes, her expression unreadable. Janelle takes a deep breath, trying to steady herself, while Mary's fingers drum lightly on her knee, betraying her nervous energy. The case begins with procedural formalities, but the undercurrent of tension is palpable. The first witness is called, a neighbor who claims to have overheard an argument late at night. The camera, narrative camera in our minds, lingers on Kody's face as the witness speaks. Each word feels like a knife. Christine's jaw tightens. Robin bites her lip. Janelle's eyes water, and Mary swallows hard. The lawyer starts questioning. "Can you describe what you saw that night?" he asks. The neighbor hesitates, then recounts a moment of intense confrontation in the Brown family home. "I saw shouting, doors slamming, and someone storming out. It didn't seem normal." The word normal hangs in the air, heavy with accusation. "I think." Christine rises to speak, her voice calm but edged with steel. "We all have disagreements. But what you're suggesting isn't the truth." Her eyes flick to Kody, pleading, daring, warning, all at once. Robin shifts in her seat, a small sigh escaping her lips, as though the weight of the room is pressing on her chest. Janelle closes her eyes briefly, silently counting to 10. Mary, her hands trembling, grips her purse tightly. The cross-examination is merciless. Small details, texts, emails, old social media posts, they are all dragged into the light, framed as evidence of betrayal and manipulation. Kody's calm veneer cracks in subtle ways. A twitch of the jaw, a quick blink, a hand tapping nervously on the desk. The wives exchange glances, each measuring how much to reveal, how much to hold back. Retention booster line. And just when you think the storm has passed, the next revelation will leave everyone in disbelief. As the morning stretches into afternoon, a hidden recording is presented. The courtroom holds its breath. The audio crackles, distorted but unmistakable. The voices of two wives, whispering words that could change the balance of power in the family forever. Gasps ripple through the room. Kody's face pales. Christine's lips press into a thin line. Robin's eyes widen in shock. Janelle leans forward, heart pounding, and Mary exhales sharply, her face draining of color. The judge raises an eyebrow. "Is this admissible?" The lawyer argues, but the tension is already tangible. Every word on that recording is a potential game changer. The scene cuts to silent reactions, a tear sliding down Christine's cheek, a subtle tremble in Kody's hand, Robin's deep, shaky breath. By the end of this first session, alliances begin to shift subtly. Glances are exchanged like coded messages, and the audience, us, narratively speaking, is left teetering on the edge of understanding, unsure who will be victorious, who will crumble, and what secrets are still buried deep enough to explode. And just as the courtroom doors close for recess, a mysterious envelope is slid onto the judge's bench, a piece of evidence no one saw coming. The courtroom falls into a tense silence as the judge picks up the mysterious envelope, sliding it carefully across the bench like a ticking time bomb. Every eye in the room is fixed on it, the air heavy and almost suffocating. Kody leans forward, his knuckles white as he grips the edge of the table, feeling the weight of every staring from his wives, whose expressions range from cold calculation to raw anxiety. Christine's gaze is sharp and unwavering, a mixture of anger and determination simmering beneath her composed exterior, while Robin's eyes glisten with emotion, a silent struggle between loyalty and the fear of what truths may be revealed. Janelle shifts uncomfortably in her seat, the lines of tension around her eyes betraying the storm brewing inside her, and Mary's trembling hands clutch her purse like a lifeline, every subtle movement broadcasting the fear she dares not speak aloud. The judge carefully opens the envelope, unfolding a set of papers that seem innocent enough at first glance, but carry the potential to ignite a firestorm. The document, a previously undisclosed financial record, hints at transactions and communications that none of the wives knew about, details that could undermine alliances and trust in ways unimaginable. The room feels as though it has shrunk. Every sound is amplified, the scuff of shoes on tile, the soft shuffle of papers, the shallow breaths of everyone present, each one laden with anticipation and dread. Kody's lawyer quickly rises, attempting to object, his voice a mix of urgency and control. But the judge holds up a hand, signaling for calm. "Let's review this carefully before making any decisions," he intones, though even his voice quivers slightly under the pressure. Christine leans toward her own counsel, whispering rapidly, her tone sharp, commanding, laced with frustration, while Robin bites her lip, trying to suppress the swell of panic that threatens to overtake her. The camera of the mind pans slowly to Janelle, whose eyes flicker toward Mary and then back to Kody, her chest rising and falling with nervous tension, as if she is trying to brace herself for an emotional tidal wave she knows is coming. The testimony resumes, and the first witness of the day is called, a longtime family friend, someone who has witnessed the intricate dynamics of the Brown household for years. The friend's voice shakes slightly, betraying the weight of the memories they are about to recount, and the courtroom leans in, almost collectively holding its breath. "I remember," the witness begins, "nights filled with shouting, slammed doors, and whispered threats that I could barely understand. But there was always this feeling, this unspoken tension, like something was just beneath the surface, waiting to erupt. The words hang in the air, a dark shadow creeping over the family, seeping into the wooden walls and polished floors. And even Kody seems momentarily caught off guard, his eyes narrowing as he processes the implication. Christine's hands tighten into fists, the knuckles whitening, as memories of confrontations flash behind her eyes, each one a potential weapon in the courtroom battle about to unfold. Robin shifts uneasily, glancing toward the judge, then at Kody, her breathing shallow, as if afraid that any sudden movement could shatter the fragile control everyone is trying to maintain. Janelle exhales slowly, attempting to compose herself, but her eyes betray the raw vulnerability she feels, the gnawing uncertainty of what might happen if certain truths come to light. Mary swallows hard, biting her lip, the tremor in her hands betraying her calm exterior, and for a moment, it seems the entire room is suspended in a single, tense heartbeat, waiting for the next revelation to fall. The lawyer rises again, questioning the witness with precision, weaving a web of logic and insinuation, but the witness falters, hesitating as they struggle to reconcile personal memories with legal testimony. Bress, hun pa. Bress, hun pa. Bress, hun pa. Bress. Bress, hun pa. Bress. 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 Bress, hun pa. Bress. Bressing down, one pause. Bress. Breast down, one pause. Bress. 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 Down. Did you pull a train and tip your bag, or hide it in the bag? Send in the back. Each pause, each careful choice of words sends ripples of tension through the courtroom. The wives exchange subtle glances, unspoken messages passing between them. Warnings, reassurances, veiled threats, all while the judge watches, a silent sentinel attempting to maintain order in a room filled with high-stakes emotion. Suddenly, a phone is produced, another piece of evidence, text messages and voicemail recordings that had been hidden from all parties until now. The courtroom collectively leans forward, the faint hum of electricity in the air almost tangible. Kody's face tightens, a bead of sweat tracing down his temple, and his heart pounds as he anticipates the content of these messages. Christine's eyes narrow as she reads the first few lines, her lips pressing together until they blanch, her mind racing through years of perceived betrayals and unanswered questions. Robin covers her mouth lightly, trying to stifle the gasp that threatens to escape, while Janelle clutches the edge of the bench, grounding herself against the sudden wave of shock and disbelief. Mary's hand flies to her chest as she reads, the words on the screen seeming to steal her breath away. And just when you think you understand the situation, a single message will turn everything upside down. The witness continues, revealing conversations that suggest secret meetings, unexplained absences, and words that hint at a fracture in trust that goes deeper than anyone could have imagined. The room's atmosphere thickens with tension, and the judge calls for a brief recess, the murmurs of speculation filling the space like an electric current. During the break, whispers swirl. Alliances are reconsidered. Strategies are formed and discarded, each wife grappling privately with the weight of the revelations. Christine paces slightly, her heels clicking sharply against the tile, a rhythm that echoes the turmoil in her mind. While Robin sits quietly, eyes closed, trying to calm the storm of thoughts racing through her head. Janelle leans back, breathing deeply, counting silently, attempting to center herself before the next round of testimony. Mary fidgets, twisting a ring nervously, feeling exposed and vulnerable in ways she never expected. The courtroom reconvenes, and the next witness, a former assistant, is called. Their testimony is even more damning, recounting moments of manipulation, overheard arguments, and subtle coercive tactics employed within the household. The tension ratchets higher with each word, each phrase laced with accusation and implication. Kody's composure wavers, his hand briefly shaking as he reaches for a glass of water. Christine's tone sharpens, cutting through the narrative with pointed objections, while Robin's quiet murmurs of correction are almost drowned by the intensity of the room. Janelle's eyes glisten, and Mary's hands tremble as they recount memories that resonate uncomfortably with the evidence being presented. Strong, every piece of testimony seems to converge on a central theme: secrets, betrayal, and the fragility of trust within the family. The judge interjects occasionally, clarifying points, ensuring that the narrative is coherent and the proceedings fair. But the emotional undercurrent remains electric, like a live wire running through every seat in the courtroom. A sudden revelation shakes the room, a diary entry, previously undisclosed, detailing private conversations and emotional confrontations that the wives had not anticipated becoming public. The words are raw, vulnerable, and explosive, exposing hidden resentments, fears, and desires. Christine's face tightens as she reads aloud a particularly shocking line, her voice trembling but firm, conveying a mix of anger and heartbreak. Robin leans back, closing her eyes for a fleeting moment, overwhelmed by the weight of emotional truth being laid bare. Janelle's lips part slightly in disbelief, and Mary's eyes dart nervously, scanning the room as if the walls themselves might be closing in. The lawyer rises, calling attention to inconsistencies in the narrative, pointing out gaps and contradictions, his voice measured but forceful, like a conductor orchestrating a crescendo of tension. Each piece of evidence, each word, each gesture compounds the suspense, drawing the audience deeper into the tangled web of relationships and courtroom maneuvering. If you think you can predict the next twist, think again. The truth has a way of hiding until the perfect moment to shock you emerges. The final witness of the day is called, someone intimately familiar with the private dynamics of the Brown family, someone whose testimony could sway the balance of perception entirely. They speak with careful deliberation, each word chosen with precision, revealing layers of complexity, hidden emotions, and long-held secrets. Kody leans forward, listening intently, trying to anticipate the impact. While Christine's eyes blaze with determination, Robin's soft breaths punctuate the silence. Janelle's hands tremble slightly on her lap, and Mary's heart races as the reality of public scrutiny presses down on her chest. The courtroom listens, rapt, as narratives of loyalty, deception, and concealed intentions unfold like a tightly wound coil, slowly unspooling. By the time the session draws to a close, alliances have subtly shifted, tensions have reached new peaks, and the audience is left on the edge, desperate to know what will happen when these revelations collide with emotion, strategy, and the fragile threads of trust holding the family together. As the gavel comes down, signaling the end of the day, the wives exchange glances heavy with unspoken meaning. Kody swallows hard, and the judge's eyes linger on the family, aware that the storm has only just begun. And just as everyone rises to leave, a final whisper circulates the room, an anonymous note slipped under the defense counsel's door, hinting at a secret that could change everything. The courtroom feels almost alive, the air thick with tension as the second day of hearings begins, each breath heavy with anticipation and unspoken fear. Kody sits rigid in his chair, hands clasped tightly on the table, eyes darting between his wives, each of whom carries the weight of the previous day's revelations as if it were a physical burden. Christine's jaw is set, a thin line of anger and determination running across her face, while Robin's gaze drifts to the floor, then flickers upward, betraying the internal conflict she struggles to contain. Janelle shifts slightly, the subtle tapping of her fingers betraying the nervous energy that threatens to spill over at any moment, and Mary's hands are clenched tightly in her lap, knuckles white, the trembling only barely concealed. The judge enters, robe flowing with a quiet authority, and the room falls into an almost sacred silence. Every eye trained on him, every thought focused on the storm of secrets waiting to unfold. The session begins with a recapitulation of the previous day's events, but the undercurrent of suspense is stronger, heavier, as if the air itself is holding its breath. The first witness, a private investigator, is called, and the courtroom braces itself. The investigator speaks slowly, deliberately, each word calculated to maximize tension. "During the course of my investigation," he begins, "I uncovered communications that were previously unknown to any of the parties. There were meetings, late-night phone calls, and messages deleted with intent to conceal, all pointing to a web of secrets that runs deeper than anyone imagined." Kody's face tightens, a flicker of panic briefly crossing his features before he regains composure, but Christine leans forward, eyes narrowing, sensing the vulnerability and the opportunity to assert her position. Robin's breathing becomes shallow, the quiet tension between fear and loyalty evident in every subtle motion, while Janelle shifts again, lips pressed together, eyes darting toward both Kody and Mary as she attempts to brace herself for the inevitable revelations. Mary swallows hard, a lump forming in her throat, feeling the walls close in around her as the investigator continues to unravel a timeline of interactions that paint a picture of deception and concealed intentions, every detail more shocking than the last. The testimony reveals private conversations between Kody and certain family members, carefully orchestrated to manipulate perception, to sway opinion, to maintain a tenuous hold over relationships that are already fraying at the edges. Each disclosure lands like a physical blow, echoing through the room, punctuated by the gasps and subtle reactions of those present. Christine's hand trembles slightly as she writes notes, her mind racing with strategies, counter-arguments, and the need to reclaim control of a situation spiraling beyond her grasp. Robin's eyes glisten with unshed tears, the internal struggle between loyalty, fear, and moral clarity battling openly across her face. Janelle's body is tense, poised between composure and emotional collapse, and Mary's chest rises and falls in shallow, rapid breaths, the weight of public scrutiny pressing down like a physical force. The investigator reveals photographs, screenshots, and recordings that suggest clandestine meetings and covert communication. Subtle, yet potent evidence that could shift the balance of credibility in ways that nobody in the room can yet predict. Kody's lawyer objects repeatedly, trying to maintain a sense of order, but the judge's piercing gaze keeps interruptions minimal, emphasizing the gravity of the revelations. Christine seizes every opportunity to interject, her tone a mix of sharp defiance and calculated calm, each word a calculated strike, while Robin's quiet murmurs aim to correct misinformation without drawing unnecessary attention. Janelle bites the inside of her cheek, eyes darting nervously between her husband, her co-wives, and the evidence being presented, and Mary rocks slightly in her seat, hands clenched in her lap, a silent prayer on her lips, as if hoping that some twist will absolve her from the onslaught of truth crashing over the room. And just when you think the walls are closing in, a revelation emerges that no one could have anticipated, sending shockwaves through the courtroom. A recording is played, distorted and crackling, yet unmistakable in its content. Private conversations between two of the wives, discussing Kody's behavior, their grievances, and a plan to confront him legally and emotionally. The voices are familiar, the words intimate, and the implications devastating. Christine's eyes flash with a mixture of validation and fury, while Robin freezes, unable to look at anyone, the weight of being caught between truth and loyalty pressing down with unbearable force. Janelle's face blanches, her breathing shallow, every muscle tense with anticipation, and Mary covers her mouth, a soft gasp escaping despite her efforts to remain composed. The judge leans forward, eyebrows raised, and the room feels as if it has contracted into a single, taut moment suspended in time. Each lawyer seizes the opportunity to press their case. Questions are rapid fire, voices elevated with controlled intensity. The pace of the room alternating between moments of calm reflection and sudden eruptions of conflict. The cross-examination is relentless, with strategic probing into motives, emotional states, and prior conflicts, revealing the intricate and sometimes uncomfortable dynamics of the family. The wives' reactions oscillate between defiance, vulnerability, and strategic composure. Christine's sharp retorts cut through the narrative, her confidence a mask for the undercurrent of fear she refuses to admit, while Robin's soft but pointed interjections reveal both insight and apprehension. Janelle attempts to maintain a veneer of neutrality, but her subtle gestures betray internal turmoil, and Mary's nervous glances toward the jury, the judge, and her co-wives signal the complex emotional battlefield unfolding within her. As the afternoon stretches on, Kody is called to testify, and the room collectively leans forward. His voice is steady at first, measured, but the slightest hesitation, the flicker of a raised brow, and the tremor in his hands betray the anxiety lurking beneath his controlled exterior. Each answer he gives is scrutinized, dissected, and challenged by the opposing counsel, while the wives exchange subtle glances, weighing the implications of every word. The tension crescendos when a series of emails is revealed. Correspondence that suggests deliberate miscommunication and manipulation between family members, highlighting fractures in trust and loyalty that have remained hidden until this very moment. Robin closes her eyes briefly, swallowing hard, her body taut as she absorbs the implications. Christine's hands tremble ever so slightly as she adjusts her notes, her mind racing with counter-strategies. Janelle shifts in her chair, the lines of tension around her mouth and eyes deepening, while Mary's fingers tighten around her purse strap, a silent anchor against the emotional storm. The courtroom feels like a pressure cooker, every detail amplified. The soft rustle of paper, the click of a pen, the shallow breaths, the barely audible murmurs of counsel, the almost imperceptible tremble in Kody's voice. A particularly explosive piece of evidence emerges. A hidden voicemail, previously unknown, revealing a conversation that calls into question the motivations and actions of multiple family members. The words hang heavy, each syllable a potential detonator in an already volatile environment. Christine's eyes widen, then narrow, her lips pressing together as she weighs how to respond. Robin's breath catches, a subtle tremor running through her shoulders, while Janelle leans forward slightly, eyes fixed on the counsel presenting the evidence, mind racing. Mary's heart pounds as if trying to escape her chest, the weight of exposure threatening to overwhelm her composure. Just when it seems the storm cannot intensify further, a sudden interruption rocks the room. A surprise witness emerges, bringing with them a secret that promises to rewrite everything the courtroom thought it knew. The witness, someone with intimate knowledge of hidden agreements and family negotiations, steps forward, their presence alone commanding attention. They begin recounting instances of collusion, emotional manipulation, and undisclosed arrangements that shock even those who thought they had seen it all. The testimony is a roller coaster of revelation, alternating between moments of chilling clarity and heart-wrenching vulnerability, keeping the emotional tension taut and unrelenting. Kody's face pales as details emerge. Christine leans forward, absorbing every word like a weapon in her arsenal. Robin's hands twitch nervously on her lap. Janelle exhales sharply, attempting to maintain control, and Mary's eyes dart around the room, searching for an anchor in the chaos. The courtroom's rhythm fluctuates, alternating between explosive confrontation and silent introspection, each beat designed to amplify suspense and emotional resonance. As the session draws to its climax, a final piece of evidence, a set of photographs capturing moments of clandestine meetings and private confrontations, is displayed. The room collectively gasps, the images speaking louder than any testimony. The faces in the photos frozen in moments that reveal truths nobody wished to confront. Christine's lips press into a tight line, eyes blazing with vindication and fury. Robin closes her eyes, letting a deep, shuddering breath escape. Janelle's hands tremble slightly as she folds them together, trying to steady herself. Mary's cheeks flush, her pulse racing as the implications of the images sink in. The gavel comes down, signaling the end of the session. But the tension does not dissipate. It lingers, heavy and almost tangible, like smoke in a closed room. Each family member rises slowly, the weight of the day pressing down upon them, and the audience is left gripping their seats, aware that the storm is far from over. And just as they step toward the exit, a whispered revelation passes between two counsel, an undisclosed secret, hidden in plain sight, that promises to ignite the next session with even more emotional intensity. The courtroom is tense to the breaking point, a suffocating weight pressing down on every person inside as the fourth session begins, and the atmosphere is electric with anticipation and dread. Kody sits rigid, his hands gripping the edges of the table so tightly that his knuckles blanch, eyes darting nervously between Christine, whose sharp gaze pierces through him like a scalpel, Robin, who shifts uncomfortably, balancing fear with a quiet determination, Janelle, whose tight-lipped composure barely conceals the storm brewing inside, and Mary, whose trembling hands clutch the edge of her purse as if holding onto it will somehow anchor her in the swirling chaos of emotion and revelation. The judge enters, robes flowing with authority, and the room immediately falls into a hush, the kind of silence that feels almost tangible, like a held breath waiting for something catastrophic to erupt. The first witness, an insider from the family's business dealings, is called, and the tension ratchets up several notches, every subtle movement underlined with significance, every word potentially a bombshell. I was privy to conversations and arrangements that were hidden even from some members of the family. The witness begins, their voice calm but layered with menace. Arrangements that could change the course of this family's future forever. Kody's jaw tightens, a micro-expression of anxiety flashing across his face, while Christine leans forward, eyes narrowing, her fingers drumming a silent rhythm on the table. Both anticipation and suppressed rage simmering just beneath the surface. Robin sits stiffly, hands clasped together, exhaling softly through her nose, as if to steady herself against the emotional storm. And Janelle shifts uneasily, biting the inside of her cheek, as her mind races to anticipate the fallout from every word spoken. Mary's shallow breaths punctuate the heavy silence, her chest rising and falling rapidly. And she steals glances at Kody, silently pleading for him to maintain control, though it is clear even to her that the walls around him are cracking. The witness begins detailing late-night phone calls, secret meetings, and subtle manipulations designed to keep certain truths hidden, and each revelation lands like a punch to the gut, sending waves of tension through the room. Christine's face tightens as she processes the implications. Robin's eyes glisten with unshed tears as she fights to remain composed. Janelle leans slightly forward, her body taut, and Mary's lips press together as she struggles to suppress a gasp. And just when you think the situation could not become more explosive, a single name is dropped that shakes the very foundation of the courtroom. The name echoes through the minds of everyone present, reverberating off the polished wood and tile, a single syllable carrying the weight of betrayal, secrecy, and long-buried resentment. Kody freezes momentarily, his eyes widening. Christine's jaw clenches so tightly that it seems it might fracture. Robin shifts uncomfortably in her seat, and Janelle's eyes dart between the witness and the judge as she tries to anticipate the next move. Mary's hand flies to her mouth, her pulse racing uncontrollably, as the implications of the revelation crash over her like a tidal wave. A cross-examination begins, each lawyer meticulously probing every detail, seeking cracks in the stories, inconsistencies in timelines, and emotional reactions that could serve as evidence of motive, deceit, or vulnerability. The pacing is relentless, alternating between rapid-fire questions and drawn-out silences, creating a rhythm that is both hypnotic and suffocating. Kody's responses are measured but falter at times, a slight stammer here, a hesitation there, betraying the internal turmoil he struggles to conceal. Christine seizes every opportunity to press forward, her voice calm yet laced with undeniable intensity. Each word a calculated strike designed to destabilize and reclaim control. Robin's quiet interjections provide clarity and subtle counterpoints, a delicate balance between revealing truth and maintaining loyalty. Janelle's subtle gestures, shifting in her seat, adjusting her posture, the tightening of her hands, convey as much emotion as any spoken word, and Mary's reactions are almost visceral, a tapestry of fear, anticipation, and raw vulnerability painted across her face. The witness introduces a series of emails and text messages, their content shocking in their candor and explosive in their implications, revealing private grievances, clandestine discussions, and emotional confrontations that had remained hidden from the public eye. Each line of text is dissected, read aloud with dramatic emphasis, the courtroom holding its collective breath as the true depth of tension and betrayal emerges. Kody's eyes dart nervously between the messages and the judge, trying to anticipate the next wave of scrutiny. P. Christine's lips press into a thin line as she absorbs the information, calculating her next move with surgical precision. Robin's breathing becomes more pronounced, a subtle tremor running through her shoulders as she battles the swell of emotion, threatening to break her composure. Janelle's eyes glisten, her hands clenching into fists, and Mary's chest heaves as she fights to maintain control in the face of overwhelming stress. And just as you think the truth has been fully unveiled, a photograph is revealed, a single image that captures a moment of betrayal none could have predicted. The image, grainy yet unmistakable, freezes a private moment, one that exposes hidden alliances and unspoken resentments. Christine leans forward, eyes narrowing, her mind racing to reconcile this evidence with her own memories and suspicions. Robin flinches slightly, her lips parting as if to speak, then closing again, caught between shock and fear. Janelle's hands tremble subtly as she rests them on the table, and Mary's pulse quickens, a lump forming in her throat as the emotional gravity of the moment settles upon her. The room is silent, except for the soft hum of the air conditioning and the occasional shuffle of papers. Yet the tension is palpable, almost electric, as if every person present is holding their breath for the next revelation. Kody rises to speak, his voice measured but quivering slightly. a delicate mixture of authority and vulnerability, acknowledging certain facts while carefully avoiding the most damning implications. Christine seizes the opportunity to press, her questions sharp, incisive, and unyielding, pushing Kody to confront truths he had long tried to obscure. Robin interjects gently, attempting to clarify points without escalating conflict, a balancing act of loyalty, fear, and morality. Janelle leans forward, her eyes darting between speaker and counsel, processing each word with the precision of someone preparing for battle, while Mary's hands grip her lap, white-knuckled, as she silently counts, trying to center herself against the tidal wave of emotion. The judge observes silently, eyebrows furrowed, occasionally interjecting to clarify points or maintain order. But his presence does little to dissipate the storm of tension, which grows with every revelation, testimony, and objection. A new witness is introduced, someone who has had a close and often contentious relationship with the family, whose testimony threatens to disrupt the fragile equilibrium that has been painstakingly maintained. Their voice carries a mix of authority and accusation, each sentence weighted with intention, exposing hidden motives, concealed conversations, and emotional fractures that had been carefully hidden from view. Kody's composure cracks, a faint tremor in his hands betraying the pressure he feels. Christine's eyes blaze, her body leaning into the narrative, fully engaged in the unfolding drama. Robin's breaths are shallow, her gaze shifting between the evidence and her husband, trying to balance emotional loyalty with moral clarity. Janelle bites her lip, the subtle tension in her posture reflecting the emotional roller coaster, while Mary closes her eyes briefly, her body taut, bracing against the impact of the revelations. Evidence of clandestine meetings, secret communications, and emotional confrontations emerges, each detail intensifying the emotional and psychological pressure in the room. Each word is analyzed, each reaction scrutinized, and each glance between family members weighed for hidden meaning. The courtroom becomes a pressure cooker of emotions, legal strategy, and raw human vulnerability, every moment building toward a climax that feels inevitable yet impossible to predict. The session culminates in a shocking declaration. An anonymous tip had been received by the court, revealing an entirely new layer of secrecy, one that involves a family member's private dealings that could alter the perception of all parties involved. The courtroom gasps collectively, eyes widening in disbelief, hearts pounding, and Kody leans back, exhaling shakily as the gravity of the situation sinks in. Christine rises slightly, her expression a mix of triumph and concern. Robin's lips part as she whispers softly to herself. Janelle's hands tremble, and Mary's pulse races, the tension nearly unbearable. And just as the gavel comes down, signaling the end of the day's session, a final revelation is whispered by the clerk, an undisclosed secret, hidden for years, that promises to turn everything the family thought it knew upside down. The wives exchange loaded glances, Kody swallows hard, and the audience is left teetering on the edge of anticipation, desperate to know what hidden truths will emerge when the storm returns in the next session. The courtroom is electric with anticipation as the fifth session begins, the echoes of the previous day's explosive revelations still hanging heavily in the air. And every member of the Brown family enters with a mixture of apprehension, determination, and barely restrained fury. Kody walks in first, his posture rigid, jaw tight, eyes flicking nervously between Christine, whose gaze cuts like a blade, Robin, whose soft expression hides a storm of internal conflict, Janelle, whose subtle trembling betrays the anxiety she fights to conceal, and Mary, whose hands clutch her purse so tightly that her knuckles are pale. Each step into the room a small battle against the weight of anticipation. Bree, J, 1, Z. The judge enters, robes flowing, commanding silence, and the courtroom collectively exhales, every individual aware that the day ahead could irrevocably alter the family's dynamics. The session begins with the introduction of a series of documents that had remained hidden until now. Financial statements, private communications, and handwritten notes detailing agreements and grievances that stretch back years. Each page a potential key to understanding the labyrinth of deception and loyalty within the household. Kody leans forward, eyes scanning the documents with tense precision, a flicker of panic passing across his face as the implications settle in. Christine's eyes blaze with a mixture of vindication and resolve, her hands tightening as she considers how to use this information strategically, while Robin bites her lip, struggling to reconcile loyalty with the emotional weight of the secrets being exposed. Janelle shifts uneasily, her posture taut, eyes darting between Kody and Christine as she processes the storm of information and anticipates the emotional fallout. And Mary swallows hard, her chest rising and falling quickly, every subtle tremor betraying the fear and vulnerability she feels. The first witness is called, a former confidant of the family who steps into the room with the kind of quiet authority that commands attention. Their testimony begins slowly, measured, but each word carries a weight that sends ripples of tension through the air. I was present for conversations and decisions that were meant to remain private, they state, voice calm but loaded with intensity. Decisions that impacted trust, loyalty, and the very fabric of the relationships within the family. Kody's fingers drum nervously on the table, eyes narrowing, while Christine leans forward, absorbing every word, her mind already calculating the next steps in her strategy. Robin's soft exhalation punctuates the silence, a signal of both apprehension and quiet determination, while Janelle's subtle nods betray an internal acknowledgement of truths she had long suspected. Mary's hands tighten into fists, the faint tremor almost imperceptible but emblematic of the anxiety she feels as the witness recounts intimate and potentially damning details. As the testimony unfolds, the witness introduces a series of emails and voicemails, each one revealing layers of deception, hidden alliances, and emotional confrontations, meticulously documenting the fractures in trust and loyalty that have long simmered beneath the surface. Each revelation lands with precision, punctuating the room with subtle shocks of disbelief. Christine's eyes narrow, lips pressing together as she mentally catalogues each piece of evidence. Robin's gaze drifts downward briefly, her fingers fidgeting as she struggles to maintain composure. Janelle's chest rises and falls with shallow, controlled breaths, and Mary swallows hard, her pulse racing as the emotional weight threatens to overwhelm her. The courtroom oscillates between moments of explosive confrontation and quiet reflection, the pacing deliberately uneven to heighten suspense and emotional resonance. Lawyers rise and fall with questions, objections, and clarifications, each interaction further entangling the web of intrigue surrounding the family. Kody's voice remains calm but occasionally falters, micro-expressions betraying the storm within, while Christine's calculated interventions slice through the narrative, her tone both measured and cutting, designed to expose weaknesses and assert control. Robin navigates the emotional landscape with subtle interjections, attempting to balance honesty and loyalty, while Janelle and Mary each manage their emotional responses in ways that are as strategic as they are instinctive. And just when it seems the tension could not escalate further, a hidden letter is presented, revealing a secret plan that changes everything everyone thought they knew. The letter's contents are shocking. Plans for a meeting, discussions of hidden alliances, and admissions that directly contradict previous testimony, all pointing to deception that had been carefully orchestrated behind closed doors. Kody leans back, exhaling shakily as the implications settle like a stone in his chest. Christine's eyes blaze with a mixture of triumph and apprehension. Robin covers her mouth briefly. Janelle's hands tighten subtly, and Mary's entire body tenses, the revelation threatening to overwhelm her composure. The cross-examination is relentless, with pointed questions that force each family member to confront uncomfortable truths. Their reactions a mix of defiance, fear, and vulnerability. Kody's measured responses mask inner turmoil, his slight hesitations amplifying the suspense, while Christine's sharp retorts both defend her position and challenge others, asserting dominance in the unfolding drama. Robin's calm yet firm clarifications aim to balance truth and loyalty, while Janelle's subtle gestures, tightening of hands, slight shifts in posture, micro-expressions, signal the emotional strain she endures, and Mary's flushed cheeks, shallow breaths, and occasional gasps betray the intensity of her internal struggle. A witness then produces photographs and recordings, visual evidence that captures moments of private confrontation, secret conversations, and emotional exchanges that no one anticipated would surface. Each image is scrutinized, every subtle detail dissected by lawyers, observed by the judge, and absorbed by the family, adding layers of complexity to the already charged atmosphere. Christine's jaw tightens, eyes narrowing as she processes each revelation. Robin's lips part slightly, eyes glistening with the weight of emotional impact. Janelle's posture remains tense, hands gripping her lap, and Mary's chest rises and falls rapidly, the emotional intensity almost unbearable. The judge calls for a brief recess, the courtroom murmurs rising in anticipation, and during the break, the wives exchange silent glances loaded with meaning, weighing alliances, reconsidering trust, and silently strategizing for the battles still to come. The tension is nearly palpable, the kind that lingers in the air, pressing down on every individual, making every thought feel urgent, every breath weighted with consequence. When the session resumes, a new witness enters, someone who had previously remained anonymous, their identity now revealed, to hold pivotal insight into hidden conversations, covert plans, and emotional undercurrents that have shaped family dynamics for years. Their testimony is both explosive and intimate, recounting moments of betrayal, secret pacts, and emotional manipulation that send shockwaves through the room. Kody's face pales, his composure cracking, as fragments of truth he had hoped remained hidden are brought into the light. Christine leans forward, eyes blazing, mentally cataloging every word as ammunition for the confrontation ahead. Robin's fingers twitch nervously, her breathing shallow as she balances moral clarity with familial loyalty. Janelle's eyes glisten as she absorbs each revelation, and Mary's entire body trembles, the emotional strain threatening to undo her carefully maintained facade. Evidence of private meetings, whispered threats, and hidden negotiations emerges, each detail ratcheting the tension higher, painting a complex portrait of loyalty, betrayal, and the fragility of trust. Lawyers press, witnesses testify, and the judge observes silently, the courtroom alternating between explosive confrontations and tense, reflective pauses. Each reaction, the tightening of lips, the subtle shiver of a hand, the widening of eyes, is magnified in the charged atmosphere, revealing as much as any verbal testimony. The session escalates to a climax when a previously undisclosed recording is played, voices of family members discussing emotional manipulation, strategic concealment, and conflicting loyalties. The words are unmistakable, the tone revealing hidden anger, fear, and betrayal that shock everyone present. Christine leans back, a fleeting smile crossing her face as validation and vindication wash over her. Robin bites her lip, eyes closing briefly, absorbing the emotional impact. Janelle shifts in her chair, trying to steady her shaking hands, and Mary's pulse races, chest heaving as the recording's implications hit with full force. And just when the tension reaches its peak, the judge calls for an unexpected adjournment, leaving everyone suspended in uncertainty, their hearts pounding, desperate to know what revelations await in the next session. The wives exchange loaded glances. Kody's jaw clenches tightly, and the audience is left teetering on the edge of anticipation, fully aware that the storms of emotion, deception, and revelation have only just begun to escalate. The courtroom is thick with an almost tangible tension as the sixth session begins, the air heavy with unspoken anticipation, and every member of the Brown family enters with the weight of previous revelations pressing down like a storm cloud. Kody walks in first, shoulders squared but eyes betraying the turmoil simmering beneath the surface. Christine following with an expression that is both calculating and fierce. Robin quietly composed yet subtly trembling as she balances loyalty and fear. Janelle appearing outwardly calm, but with a tautness in her posture that speaks to her anxiety, and Mary's hands clutching her purse as if it could anchor her amidst the emotional tempest about to unfold. The judge takes his seat, robes flowing, and silence descends, the kind that makes every whisper, every creak of a chair, every shuffle of paper resonate with amplified intensity. The session begins with a review of evidence from the previous day, but it quickly escalates as a new, unexpected witness enters, someone intimately connected to the family's private affairs, whose testimony promises to unravel truths that no one has anticipated. A witness's voice is calm, but carries an undeniable weight, each word carefully measured, a delicate dance between revelation and suspense. I observed interactions, overheard conversations, and documented exchanges that were never meant to be exposed, they begin. And the implications of these revelations are profound, impacting trust, loyalty, and the very foundation of this family. Brea, 23b aspect, obtain naturally our ending. Kody's hands tighten on the table, jaw set as he processes the initial statements. Christine leans forward, eyes narrowing, mind already strategizing how to leverage this information. Robin's lips press together, a subtle exhale betraying her attempt to maintain composure. Janelle's fingers tighten in her lap, and Mary swallows hard, her pulse quickening as the gravity of the situation bears down on her. The witness begins to describe late-night meetings, hidden communications, and conversations that suggest long-held secrets, some of which challenge the very narratives the family has lived by for years. Each revelation lands with the impact of a hammer, resonating in the minds of those present and creating ripples of tension that spread like wildfire. Christine's hands tighten, gripping her notes, her mind racing with strategies to confront and expose, while Robin's soft exhalations indicate both fear and resolve. Janelle leans slightly forward, eyes fixed on the witness, absorbing every detail, and Mary's hands tremble as she struggles to anchor herself amidst the emotional onslaught. The lawyers rise in quick succession, questioning the witness with precision, their voices alternating between calm deliberation and sharp intensity, each aiming to probe the edges of the story and expose inconsistencies or emotional reactions. Kody's responses remain controlled but occasionally falter, subtle shifts in tone and micro-expressions betraying the tension he feels, while Christine's interjections slice through the narrative with clarity and purpose, strategically asserting control over the unfolding drama. Robin navigates the courtroom carefully, offering clarifications with tact, balancing honesty with protective instincts toward her family, while Janelle's subtle movements, adjusting posture, shifting hands, tightening her grip on her lap, signal the emotional strain she endures, and Mary's quickened breaths, flushing, and fleeting glances reveal her struggle to maintain composure under immense pressure. And just when you think the tension has peaked, a previously hidden recording is introduced, its contents threatening to completely upend everything everyone thought they knew. The recording crackles to life, voices unmistakable yet distorted, discussing private grievances, concealed intentions, and actions that challenge the credibility and loyalty of each family member. Christine leans back, a flicker of vindication crossing her features, while Robin closes her eyes momentarily, exhaling shakily. Janelle's fingers flex subtly on her lap, and Mary's chest rises and falls in shallow, rapid breaths as the implications settle over her like a tidal wave. The courtroom seems to shrink under the weight of the evidence, every sound amplified. The soft shuffle of papers, the tapping of a pen, the subtle exhale of the judge, all resonating with heightened significance. Kody rises to testify, his voice carefully measured, each word chosen to project control, while his subtle micro-expressions betray inner tension. Christine presses forward with sharp, calculated questions, each designed to expose vulnerabilities and contradictions, while Robin interjects quietly to clarify, balance, or temper the narrative. Janelle's glances between Kody, the witness, and Christine reveal an intricate web of anticipation, strategy, and emotional awareness, while Mary's subtle tremors, flushed cheeks, and shallow breaths underscore the emotional gravity she experiences. The witness presents documents, emails, and screenshots that reveal clandestine communications, late-night messages, and hidden interactions, each item dissected by the lawyers and considered carefully by the judge. The emotional intensity rises with every detail, every revelation, each word amplifying the suspense and driving the narrative forward. Christine's eyes narrow, lips pressing together as she calculates. Robin's hands fidget subtly. Janelle's breathing is controlled but tense. Then Mary's body is taut, a visual representation of the internal storm each wife battles. The session escalates further when the witness produces a set of photographs capturing moments of secret discussions and private confrontations. Images that visually confirm much of the testimony and amplify the tension exponentially. Each photograph is scrutinized carefully, each glance, gesture, and reaction analyzed by the courtroom participants, magnifying suspense and emotional stakes. Kody swallows hard, eyes darting nervously. Christine leans in, absorbing every detail with sharp intensity. Robin covers her mouth slightly. Janelle adjusts her posture, and Mary's eyes widen as she grapples with the mounting revelations. The cross-examination becomes a high-stakes chess match, questions fired like precision strikes, answers measured, sometimes faltering, each reaction layered with emotional subtext. The judge occasionally interjects to maintain order, yet the tension in the room is palpable, electric, a living entity that hovers over every individual present. Lawyers, witnesses, and family members are locked in a delicate dance, a narrative of truth, manipulation, and emotional turbulence, each move calculated to influence perception and gain advantage in the unfolding drama. And just when you think the revelations cannot intensify, a secret letter is produced, handwritten and long hidden, detailing a covert plan that threatens to ignite the family's deepest fears and insecurities. The contents of the letter are explosive, chronicling secret discussions, hidden motives, and revelations that challenge trust and loyalty in ways no one anticipated. Christine's expression, is a mixture of shock and triumph. Robin's eyes widen in disbelief. Janelle's hands tremble slightly, and Mary's pulse races, her body tense as the weight of the information threatens to overwhelm her. The courtroom becomes a theater of emotion, every reaction magnified by the charged atmosphere, alternating between confrontation, introspection, and raw vulnerability. Each family member is forced to navigate a labyrinth of emotion, deception, and strategy. Their every move scrutinized and every response evaluated in the high-stakes environment. As the session nears its conclusion, a final twist emerges. An anonymous witness steps forward with testimony that confirms suspicions, while simultaneously introducing a new layer of intrigue, a revelation that promises to redefine the dynamics of trust and betrayal within the family. Kody swallows hard. Christine leans forward, eyes blazing with focus. Robin's hands fidget subtly. Janelle's body is taut, and Mary's chest rises and falls rapidly. The emotional impact nearly overwhelming. And just as the gavel strikes to adjourn the session, a whispered note is passed to the judge, an undisclosed secret that has the potential to unravel everything previously established, leaving the courtroom suspended in anticipation and the audience on the edge of their seats. The session ends, but the storm of emotion, revelation, and suspense lingers. The stage set for an even more intense confrontation in the next session, promising that no one will leave unscathed and every secret may soon be exposed. The seventh session begins with a palpable tension that almost seems to vibrate through the air, the courtroom thick with the weight of anticipation as Kody enters first, his face tight, jaw set, eyes flicking nervously between Christine, who exudes a cold, calculated intensity, Robin, whose subtle trembling betrays the fear and moral conflict she carries, Janelle, outwardly composed but inwardly a taut bundle of anxiety, and Mary, hands clenched around her purse, knuckles white as, though physically holding herself together amidst the emotional storm about to unfold. The judge takes his seat, robes flowing with quiet authority, and the room falls into a hush. Every footstep, every shuffle of paper, every subtle movement amplified by the tension. End of story. Signing. End of story. End of story. End of story. End of story. The session opens with the introduction of a new, highly anticipated witness, someone who has been on the periphery of the family's private life. Their testimony, promising revelations that could reshape alliances, expose hidden motives, and ignite emotional fires that have long been smoldering beneath the surface. The witness's voice is calm, but carries a weight that immediately commands attention. I was present for conversations, meetings, and interactions that were intended to remain secret, but the consequences of those hidden truths are far-reaching, affecting trust, loyalty, and emotional stability. Kody shifts slightly, his fingers tightening around the edge of the table, jaw working as he processes the implications, while Christine leans forward, eyes narrowed, mind racing with strategies to capitalize on the information. Robin bites her lip, attempting to suppress a reaction. Janelle's eyes dart between the witness and the judge as she anticipates what is coming next. And Mary swallows hard, chest rising and falling rapidly as the weight of impending revelation bears down on her. The witness begins recounting instances of secret communications, late-night conversations, and clandestine meetings, each one layered with emotional complexity and potential consequences that threaten to destabilize the family's fragile equilibrium. Each revelation lands like a physical blow, rippling through the courtroom with palpable tension. Christine's fingers clench around her notes, eyes blazing with determination. Robin's subtle exhale indicates the strain she feels as she balances honesty with loyalty. Janelle leans forward slightly, posture rigid, and Mary's hands tremble subtly, betraying the emotional weight pressing down on her. The lawyers rise in rapid succession, interrogating the witness with precision, their voices alternating between calm deliberation and sharp intensity, each question designed to extract truth, provoke reaction, and uncover hidden motives. Kody's responses are carefully measured but occasionally falter, a slight tremor in his voice, revealing the pressure he feels, while Christine's interjections are precise, incisive, and strategically placed to assert control and challenge credibility. Robin navigates the courtroom with subtle interjections, offering clarifications, balancing truth with loyalty, while Janelle and Mary manage their reactions with a combination of instinct and strategy, each movement, gesture, and expression a reflection of internal conflict and heightened emotion. And just when it seems the suspense cannot escalate further, a hidden recording is introduced, its contents threatening to expose secrets that could forever alter perceptions of trust and loyalty. The recording crackles to life, distorted yet unmistakable, capturing private discussions about hidden alliances, secret grievances, and emotional confrontations that had previously been concealed. Christine leans in, absorbing each word like ammunition. Robin closes her eyes briefly, exhaling shakily. Janelle's fingers flex subtly in her lap, and Mary's pulse races as she grapples with the implications of the voices speaking truths that cut deeply into the heart of the family. The courtroom atmosphere becomes almost suffocating. Every sound is amplified. The shuffle of paper, the faint tap of a pen, the soft exhale of the judge, all resonating within the heightened tension of the moment. Kody rises to testify, his voice steady, yet faintly quivering, each word chosen with care, projecting control even as micro-expressions betray internal anxiety. Christine seizes every opportunity to press, questions sharp, measured, and relentless, forcing him to confront uncomfortable truths, while Robin interjects subtly to clarify or temper statements without escalating conflict. Janelle leans slightly forward, eyes darting between counsel, witness, and Kody, processing every nuance, while Mary's body is taut, chest heaving with each revelation, every subtle movement signaling the storm of emotion threatening to overwhelm her. The witness presents emails, text messages, and handwritten notes that reveal clandestine meetings, secret discussions, and emotional manipulations, each piece of evidence dissected by lawyers and absorbed by the judge and family alike. The tension rises with each revelation, each detail amplifying the emotional and psychological pressure in the room. Christine's lips press into a tight line, eyes blazing with both fury and calculated determination. Robin's hands fidget subtly. Janelle's breathing remains shallow but controlled, and Mary's flushed cheeks and rapid pulse underscore the gravity of the situation. The session escalates further as photographs are revealed, capturing private confrontations, secret meetings, and emotional exchanges that visually confirm much of the testimony, amplifying tension exponentially. Each image is scrutinized, every subtle detail analyzed, every reaction, be it a flinch, a gasp, or a tightened jaw, magnified in the charged atmosphere. Kody swallows hard, eyes darting nervously. Christine's gaze narrows with strategic intensity. Robin covers her mouth slightly. Janelle adjusts her posture, and Mary's chest rises and falls quickly, the weight of exposure almost unbearable. The cross-examination becomes a strategic duel. Questions sharp, answers measured, reactions scrutinized, each moment a test of composure, credibility, and emotional resilience. The judge interjects occasionally, clarifying points and maintaining order, but the tension in the room is electric, a living force hovering over every individual present. Lawyers, witnesses, and family members are locked in a delicate dance of truth, deception, and emotion. Every movement and word magnified by the atmosphere, and just when the audience believes they understand the depth of betrayal, a secret letter is produced, revealing a covert plan so shocking that it promises to rewrite the narrative entirely. The letter's contents detail secret arrangements, hidden motivations, and revelations that challenge every assumption, exposing fractures in trust that had been carefully concealed. Christine's face tightens with a mixture of shock and triumph. Robin's eyes widen in disbelief. Janelle's hands tremble subtly, and Mary's pulse races, the emotional impact almost overwhelming. The courtroom becomes a theater of human emotion, alternating between confrontation, introspection, and raw vulnerability. Every participant forced to navigate the complex web of relationships, manipulation, and loyalty. The session escalates toward its climax when an anonymous witness steps forward, confirming suspicions while introducing new intrigue, a revelation that threatens to destabilize trust further and ignite conflicts long buried. Kody swallows hard. Christine leans forward, eyes blazing with focus. Robin's hands twitch subtly. Janelle's body remains taut, and Mary's chest rises and falls rapidly. The emotional stakes higher than ever. As the session concludes, the judge signals an unexpected adjournment, leaving everyone suspended in uncertainty, their hearts pounding, the weight of revelation heavy, and the audience left desperate to know what will unfold in the final session. And just as the gavel strikes, a whispered note reaches the judge, a secret that promises to overturn everything previously assumed, ensuring that the family's deepest truths and betrayals will finally be exposed in the next climactic confrontation. The wives exchange glances, heavy with unspoken meaning. Kody clenches his jaw, and the suspense lingers like a charged storm cloud, setting the stage for the final, emotional, and explosive session that will determine the future of trust, loyalty, and family. The eighth and final session begins with a charged intensity that seems to electrify the very air of the courtroom. The lingering weight of previous sessions pressing down like a storm ready to break. And every member of the Brown family enters carrying the visible and invisible scars of betrayal, suspense, and emotional upheaval. Kody walks in first, his shoulders squared, but his eyes revealing cracks in the armor of control he has so carefully constructed. Christine follows with a steely determination, her gaze fixed, sharp and unwavering. Robin moves quietly yet cautiously, each step measured as if balancing fear and moral clarity. Janelle maintains a composed exterior, but the subtle tension in her posture betrays the storm of anxiety within. And Mary's hands clutch her purse with white-knuckled intensity, a small lifeline in the face of the emotional tempest about to descend. The judge takes his seat with commanding silence, robes flowing, and the courtroom collectively stills, the kind of hush that magnifies every sound, every shuffle, every nervous intake of breath into a dramatic overture of suspense. The session opens with the revelation of an explosive piece of evidence, a series of confessions and previously undisclosed messages that challenge the narrative each family member has relied upon, each one layered with emotional complexity, hidden motives, and subtle manipulations designed to protect, deceive, or gain leverage. Kody's hands tighten on the table as he reads through the documents, jaw clenched, eyes flicking nervously between Christine, whose expression is a controlled mix of triumph and calculated fury. Robin, whose subtle tremor betrays the internal struggle she faces between loyalty and moral clarity. Janelle, whose posture remains rigid as she processes every detail. And Mary, whose chest rises and falls rapidly, every subtle shiver a reflection of the emotional storm threatening to overwhelm her. The first witness is called, a former confidant of the family, who steps forward with a presence that commands attention. Their testimony poised to expose hidden alliances, long-suppressed grievances, and the emotional intricacies that have shaped every interaction over the years. Bruh_P. 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 The voice is calm but layered with intensity. I observed discussions, clandestine meetings, and private negotiations, and the consequences of these hidden truths are far-reaching, impacting trust, loyalty, and emotional stability in ways no one has anticipated. Kody shifts, hands fidgeting slightly, eyes narrowing, as the implications settle like stones in his chest, while Christine leans forward, her mind calculating every strategic advantage. Robin's lips part in a subtle exhale. Janelle's gaze darts between the witness and Kody, and Mary swallows hard, body taut, grappling with the weight of revelation. The witness begins recounting moments of betrayal, secret communications, and covert alliances, each statement a carefully aimed psychological blow, each revelation tightening the emotional pressure in the room. Christine's fingers clench, jaw set, eyes blazing as she catalogues each detail. Robin's soft exhalations betray her inner struggle. Janelle leans forward slightly, eyes fixed, and Mary's hands tremble in her lap as she battles the swell of emotion threatening to overwhelm her. Lawyers rise and fall in rapid succession, their voices alternating between calm precision and sharp intensity, each question designed to uncover motives, expose contradictions, and provoke emotional responses, while Kody's carefully measured answers occasionally falter, micro-expressions betraying tension, fear, and vulnerability. Christine's incisive questions are strategic, cutting, and unrelenting, aiming to assert dominance and clarify truths, while Robin interjects with subtle clarifications, balancing honesty and familial loyalty. Janelle and Mary navigate their reactions with a combination of instinct, strategy, and self-preservation. Every movement, gesture, and expression conveying layers of emotion, tension, and psychological complexity. And just when it seems the tension cannot escalate further, a hidden recording is played, revealing a secret that exposes not only deception, but a long-standing betrayal that shocks everyone present. The recording crackles, voices unmistakable yet distorted, discussing hidden motives, private confrontations, and emotional manipulations that were carefully concealed. And the courtroom reacts with audible gasps, sharp intakes of breath, and tense silence. Christine leans in, eyes blazing with both fury and triumph. Robin closes her eyes briefly, exhaling shakily. Janelle's hands flex in her lap, and Mary's pulse races as the emotional gravity hits full force. The courtroom seems almost suspended in time. Every sound, the shuffle of papers, the faint tap of a pen, the whisper of counsel, resonating with amplified tension. Kody rises to testify, voice steady but betraying subtle tremors, carefully choosing words to maintain authority, while micro-expressions reveal the inner turmoil he cannot hide. Christine presses relentlessly, her questions sharp and targeted, forcing him to confront uncomfortable truths, while Robin interjects gently to clarify, balance, or correct, navigating the fine line between truth and loyalty. Janelle leans slightly forward, eyes darting between witness, counsel, and Kody processing every nuance, and Mary's chest rises and falls rapidly, her body taut, eyes wide as the revelations continue to unfold. The witness then produces emails, text messages, and handwritten notes, revealing clandestine meetings, emotional confrontations, and private negotiations that amplify tension and test loyalties. Each item scrutinized by lawyers and observed by judge and family alike. Christine's lips press into a thin line, eyes blazing, calculating strategy. Robin's hands fidget subtly. Janelle maintains shallow, controlled breaths, and Mary's flushed cheeks and rapid pulse underline the emotional weight. Photographs are revealed, capturing private confrontations and secret meetings, visually confirming testimony and heightening suspense. Each image scrutinized, reactions observed. Kody swallows hard, eyes darting nervously. Christine leans in, intense and focused. Robin covers her mouth slightly. Janelle adjusts posture. Mary's chest rises and falls rapidly. Cross-examination becomes a strategic duel. Questions sharp, answers measured, reactions scrutinized, testing composure, credibility, and emotional resilience. The judge interjects occasionally, maintaining order, but tension remains electric. Lawyers, witnesses, family members locked in a dance of truth, deception, and emotion. Every word, movement, and glance loaded with significance. And just when it seems the story has reached its peak, a final secret letter is unveiled, its contents revealing a covert plan so shocking that it threatens to redefine trust, loyalty, and the very bonds of the family. The letter chronicles secret agreements, hidden motives, and confessions, exposing fractures long concealed. Christine's expression mixes shock and triumph. Robin's eyes widen in disbelief. Janelle's hands tremble. Mary's pulse races. Emotional impact overwhelming. The courtroom becomes a theater of human emotion, alternating confrontation, introspection, and raw vulnerability, forcing everyone to navigate complex relationships, deception, and loyalty. A final witness steps forward, confirming suspicions, while introducing a new layer of intrigue, threatening to destabilize trust and ignite long-buried conflicts. Kody swallows hard. Christine leans forward, eyes blazing. Robin's hands twitch, Janelle's body taut, Mary's chest heaving as stakes reach maximum intensity. The judge prepares to close the session, signaling the end of testimony. But before the gavel strikes, a final statement is made by the witness. The truth has been hidden, manipulated, and distorted, but now it cannot be ignored. The decisions made here will define loyalty, justice, and the bonds that hold this family together, or tear them apart forever. Gasps ripple through the courtroom, eyes widen, hearts pound, and every family member processes the weight of these final words. Kody's shoulders slump slightly. Christine exhales sharply, a flicker of vindication and sorrow crossing her face. Robin closes her eyes, letting the tension wash over her. Janelle presses her hands together, silent but trembling, and Mary's lips part, tears threatening to fall, as the emotional climax reaches its zenith. And now, as the gavel finally strikes, signaling the end of the climactic session, the audience is left with a question that pierces the heart. If you were in their shoes, facing betrayal, secrets, and the potential collapse of everything you hold dear, what would you do next? The wives exchange loaded glances. Kody's jaw clenches one last time, and the courtroom empties, leaving a lingering tension that ensures the story, the suspense, and the emotional resonance will stay with the audience long after the screen fades to black.